Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to another book review video. I'm Shanique and my channel is all about personal development and growth, and today that comes in the form of the book review for Tabitha Brown's Feeding the Soul because it's my business, right? We're going to be going into the 10 lessons that I learned from reading this book, and I'll share with you like my overall experience. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, if you have not heard of Tabitha Brown by now, it's safe to say that you're living under a rock, right? So after this video is done, and hopefully I would have done a good job of persuading you that this is a good read, you go ahead and binge on her content, find her online, kind of experience her in her fullness. And then hopefully you would have been drawn to her personality as well and just her level of warmth. But she is an influencer whose career kind of blew up during the pandemic. She's been at it for a while, 23 years to be exact. She's a trained actress. She's from Eden, North Carolina. She's a wife, mom, vegan, Christian, actress, entrepreneur, like all the things. And, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people found her because of her vegan meals, but stayed with her because of how she just brought you into her life. She supported small businesses a lot and still supports small businesses a lot. Like many times, like to me, she's like the atypical influencer in that she was able to remain grounded and build a growing community of people who are like-minded as her career took off and just exploded in like the most amazing way. And so, in the midst of everything, she'd started writing a book, and I remember I was tracking like, okay, this is going to be on my reading list. And the moment it dropped, I picked it up. And so here is what I can share with you about my experience without giving away too much, of course, but definitely, highlighting some of the main points, some of the things that I took home from reading the book. So a quick go over. To know Tabitha is to know that she loves food, right? I think in that way we are kindred spirits. She's all about having a good time in the kitchen, having a good experience every time you have a meal, and cooking for those that you love. And I feel like she is able to give off that love or that loving spirit in her videos, which is just amazing. To know her is to know that she is a Christian. Like, she makes like no qualms about showing and reiterating that she is a Christian. She does believe in God. She takes that journey seriously, and it's either you're for her or you're not. And at this point, she's not going to try to fit herself into any mold from anybody. And she does so in such a way that even though those words typically are said very harshly, she's able to say it in a loving way that, you have no choice but to just be like, all right, Tab, you know what? I'm going to rock with you, girl. Let me see what you got going on, okay? And to know her is to know self. Like, she is not afraid of sharing her stories. Even on like her videos, on her lives, she has lived, right? She has experienced life. She knows what it's like to, start from the ground and come up. And that's a part of the reason why she is so humble in, how she interacts with people, because ultimately, at the end of the day, she remains in a state of gratitude that allows her to constantly be present in the moment, one, and two, just remember like what it took to get her to this point. So it took me about 3 days to read this book, and no, I'm not reading 8 hours a day. It's just such an easy read. The language is simple. There aren't, many technical terms. It's a biography. So she's talking about her life experience, but also bringing through a message. And that was done in such a way that it was easily read, it was easily understood, and I could find, areas of her story that I could readily relate to and, apply to my own life instances that may have occurred for me that I could have seen, going differently had I taken the approach that she suggested. So that leads me to lesson number 1. I learned the importance of self-acceptance. Now, that's not to say that I didn't know that before. However, sometimes you can hear something said in a different way. Sometimes you don't have the words to articulate just exactly what you're feeling, but you know it when you hear it. And this is one such instance. Tabitha starts she starts the book talking about her spiritual journey and just her experience going to church, how much she loves being a Christian, and talking about her spiritual gift. And she has the gift of the prophetic word. And, many times, especially when you grow up Black, I grew up Caribbean, and I could definitely relate to this. Older generations weaponize Christianity. So they use it as a way to kind of keep you in line. And that deters people of my generation from wanting to really have a relationship with God, because they believe that, okay, if it means that I look like you and I behave like you, I don't want it. So she redefines that. She was like, you know what? I give those who are older than me grace, that this was their experience, that this is how they demonstrated that they, love the Lord. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show up this way. This is my gift. I have finally accepted it. I was scared of it, but that's okay. I'm just going to work through this. Me and God, we have this thing going on, and I know that he got me, right? And so I was reminded of that, and just the importance of accepting yourself and showing up authentically. That was an awesome, awesome story. She also talked about the importance of membership. That's lesson number 2, the importance of mentorship. There are people who have gone ahead before you. They have learned the lessons that you are learning right now. And it could be 5 steps ahead, 10 steps ahead, 100 steps ahead. It's important to kind of connect with their hindsight, because those lessons are fresh for them. And oftentimes, like I'm of the mentality that you want to fail fast. You want to fail fast so you can fix it. Okay, there's no point in having a long and arduous lesson that's drawn out, that's painful. And mentorship can help to prevent some of that, much of that. Like, of course, there's a lot of it that you still need to learn through experience, your own experience. But it does help to have that kind of framework drawn out for you, to have somebody watching your back, to be like, hey, watch out over there. There's a trap over there. Okay. It does help to have that as a framework for you. Lesson number 3, the importance of working while you wait, right? Of course, as Christians would know, faith without works is dead. And just knowing that something is meant for you does not negate the fact that it's a lot of hard work involved in bringing that to fruition. So while you're waiting, it is important for you to be working and ensuring that you're giving your all, you're showing up, still giving your best. Like you're not slouching, you're not having a frumpy attitude. You are really just giving your all. That's extremely important, because God's watching what you're doing as well. Like he's looking at you when you're not getting your way, as like, okay, well, are you really deserving of the blessings that I have for you? If when it's not going your way, this is how you respond. It's learning how to be grateful in every moment. That goes into my lesson number 4, the constant reminder that you should be giving thanks. You should be giving thanks. Even if your situation is not ideal, even if it's not where you want it to be. Tabitha goes over and over that it took her 23 years to get to this point. And she would never have thought that it would have taken her so long, one. And two, like after having a dream that God was like, look, now is your time. She still had to wait. There was nobody waiting in Los Angeles for her. There was no opportunity that was waiting. There was no contract that was waiting. She still had to put in the work. She had to wait, and she had to remain grateful. She had to remain in a state of constant gratitude. That is important, especially when talking about mindset and work ethic. That's important because a lot of time is going to be spent sowing seeds, fostering a network, building a community, finding people who are akin to your way of thinking, and then taking it from there. Next lesson, the importance of self-validation and understanding that some parts of your journey are just for you. She has a whole chapter dedicated to that. And she I think it's called, Honey, Everybody Cannot Go. Everyone can't go. I tell my child all the time, get comfortable with your own company, right? There are aspects of your journey that are for you and you alone. Even if you are a part of a peer group, even if you're a part of a family, even if you're a part of a couple, each person is tasked with their own purpose and with, a different vision for their lives. And there's some aspects of it that only you can understand because it's your vision, one. And two, you're just going to have to go at it alone. So if you're the type of person who needs a crowd before you move, she talked about that person who has to go to the gym, or who always needs somebody to go with them to the gym. So if they don't have a partner, they can't go by themselves. If they don't have a partner, they can't do, a start or write down or accomplish any of their, some parts of it, you're just going to be okay, have to be okay, doing it by yourself. And that's okay. And that's what reinforces your sense of self, reignites true self-confidence and self-worth, because you're putting trust in yourself. You're trusting your abilities. It's kind of like it's I'm trying to find the best way to explain it, but it's like it's a really good feeling to know that you can set your mind down at something and without the impetus of anybody else or anything else, achieve it. Even if it's just for your own gratification, it is an amazing, amazing feeling. She talked about the importance of sharing your story. Everybody has a story, and there's someone out there who's waiting for you to tell your story so that they can feel as though they're heard. They can feel as though they're on the right track. They're not crazy. They're not doing something wrong. It's important to share your story. Now, not everybody will be ready at the same time, but at some point, we got to come to terms with that and just share. Sometimes when I put up these videos, I literally just close my eyes, put it up, and go to bed. Because in my mind, I'm still scared, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing it while I'm scared, and I believe that those who are watching it are those who need to hear what I have to say. And, sometimes that might not be my friends, and that's okay, right? There are literally billions of people out there in the world. It's going to find who it's meant to find at the right time. And I'm okay with that. All right, so we've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 more. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, maybe it's 9. Maybe it's 9 lessons and not 10. Next one is the importance of forgiveness. Tabitha talks about, how her parents separated. After having 2 beautiful girls. And it wasn't from an argument. They just one day came home and things changed. and her father moved on. He remarried. She has a stepmom, and that relationship was off to a tumultuous start because she's a daddy's girl. She considers her dad to be her best friend. And so it's kind of hard when everything that you would have known growing up has changed. I am the product of divorce. My parents are married for 13 years and they separated. And so I completely get it. I completely get it. In terms of how that shift in that the dynamic of the home can, as a child, when you're not understanding everything, can cause you kind of to harbor ill will towards that new person, that new family that, that other parent is developing while you're over here. So she talked about how important it was to forgive her stepmom. Know that she's an adult. She understood the dynamics. Like, she has a bonus child, Tylea, who, the situations weren't always great, but she understands now, the importance of setting the right foundation and having the right environment as adults, especially when kids are involved, and just mending that relationship with her stepmother made the experience so much better. Number 7. Oh, we're talking about the importance of gratitude already. So we're two more lessons. The importance of giving yourself permission to live life. What are you waiting on? Like, the life that you imagine is possible. The life that you see for yourself is possible. And so putting yourself in a position to, one, accept that, receive it, and then go out. So many of us are waiting for our parents to give us permission, for them to tell us that it's okay for us to do certain things. It's okay to give that permission to yourself, right? Sometimes we have to parent ourselves. Like, what would you tell your 5-year-old self? Like, I have a kid, so I can say those things to her, and as I'm raising her, like, I'm unfolding so many things about my own childhood. But even if you're not a child, even if you don't have a child, like, think about what would you want to tell that version of yourself that you believe is still broken. Tell it to them. Give them permission. Give yourself permission, and just live life at its fullest. Okay, you deserve it, and so much more. The last and final lesson is the importance of giving grace and showing kindness to other people. Tabitha was a supervisor, I believe it was for USPS, and she was managing people who were older than her, but she took the time to know something about each one, to connect with each one, to remind herself that they are human. And like, that is a culture that I'm sure we can do a lot better in, to develop, because ultimately it helps to ensure that, each person is knowing that they're loved. And this one touches me because, life is happening to everybody. Everybody is experiencing something, and you can say, okay, well, what you're experiencing is not as bad as what I'm experiencing, but each of us handle things differently, and your level of tolerance just might be higher than theirs. It doesn't negate their feelings. It doesn't take away from the fact that something less than ideal is happening to them. And the least that you can do is show them some grace and help them to feel loved and appreciated. Just put a smile on somebody else's face. It's really not going to cost you anything at all, right? So those are the 10 lessons. Now, I do have some parts of the experience that were less than ideal for me, and I'm going to get into that. So let's go with that. So if you know, right? I did a video where I was going over Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights book, which also had a sleeve. I'll link it up top for you to take a look. But I don't like the man. I don't like these. I get the purpose of them, right? And how they just enhance the graphics of the book. There's so much that you can do to a sleeve that you can't necessarily do to a hardcover. But I feel like, you know, for me, it's more of a pet peeve because I'm going to lose these or they're going to get ripped or something. So I typically just take them off, put them to the side. And then when I'm done reading the book and I'm sure I'm going to put it up, then I put them on. I put them back on, put it on my shelf, and that's that. But I'm not a sleeve lover. And I would say that the second thing is that there were some parts of the book that I felt, you know, were repeated. Like some chapters I think could have been condensed and still bring across the same point, because it was just repetition of the same point at a certain point. That's my experience. But Tabitha did something towards the back, the rear end of the book, where she was like, you know what? I know I've said this many times right now, but it is very important that I stress that point. And that to me gave some kind of solace, but I was definitely going through at some point where I'm like, okay, I just read that 2 chapters ago and we're still on it. But, you know, it doesn't take away from the experience of reading the book, but I guess just based on my genre, like the type of books I like to read, that format is definitely not my favorite. Like I said, it's an easy read. It's one that took me 3 days of just like probably reading an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. And I was, you know, done. But then the lessons that were shared, the language was so simple and the lessons that were shared were so important that I can see it being a staple. Like I definitely read, I'm a person who reads with my pen, with my highlighter. I highlight words I don't know. I highlight points that stick out to me. And there are no technical terms. It's not a psychology book that's, you know, giving you mindset from the olden days, but it's filled with a lot of things that you can easily implement into, you know, your daily routine, a lot of habits that you can easily adjust and tweak a little bit. And so for that reason, I would go back into the book from time to time. I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, I highlighted this because I think that it's something worth remembering. And, you know, there's definitely a lesson in it. I couldn't find my highlighter this day. I used a pen, but you'll see a lot of those notes happening throughout. And the recipes. How could I forget the recipes? So at the end of each chapter, I don't even know if this, yeah, we can't see that. I need to do like one of those influencer reviews where you have like the live focus. The recipes, the vegan recipes. Tabitha gave a vegan recipe at the end of each chapter, and I fully intend on trying all of those, right? Like this is about to be one of those books that, you know, I'm eating and food is dropping on it because I really needed to hit that note today. And it was funny. It was humorous. It was light, while bringing home some serious messages. So if you are interested or you think that this would be a good book, I would definitely recommend. Overall, it was a great experience reading the book. I would definitely recommend picking one up at your nearest bookstore or wherever you get your books from. It's also on Amazon. And just having a good read. If you have read the book already and, you know, you have thoughts, I would love to hear what you have to say. Comment in the description below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the lessons that I've learned. I'd love to hear that. Like, it's a conversation that we're trying to build. It's definitely not a one size fits all, and my experience will not be yours, and that's okay. That's my business. Okay. Thank you so much for hopping on to this long extended video, but definitely filled with some nuggets. I'm working through the next book review. It's The Power The Magic of Believing. The Magic of Believing by Claude M. Bristol. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye. Have a good day.